Did you know the Friends of Hope is an initiative of Hope Media? Through this initiative, we are able to partner with others who are keen to ensure that we keep hope alive. Through your support, we are sharing the hope we have with many others who are yet to embrace hope. You too can become a part of this initiative today. Send your contribution of any amount to M-Pesa paybill number 933933. Account name Friends of Hope. For more information regarding Friends of Hope, please email friendsofhope@hopefm.org or SMS FOH to 20933. Join Friends of Hope today. Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive. Another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries.
And a good morning to you, wherever you're tuned in from. My name is Peter Chalo.
I'm Martin Onyanko.
Ochola. I always like to putting it to clarify that.
If you insist.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining us in studio. We are streaming live from the Hope FM studios, bringing you the Leadership Forum, discussing leaders and followers. And in a short while, we'll be going live on radio. And we just wanted to inform you, even as we start, that what we'll be airing today on the broadcast will be a repeat of last week's discussion on the Leadership Forum, where Bishop focused on strategies to innovation, and he touched on the Defender strategy as the first strategy, or rather an approach towards innovation. And we'll be listening to more of that conversation. As we know, Bishop, with various engagements, was not able to make it for today's broadcast. Nonetheless, we will listen to the repeat and pick a lot of nuggets from that. But before we even start running on air, we thought it's good to just come online and engage with you. And we would like to let you know that we are right now streaming on our Facebook page, and you can always engage with us. And while the Leadership Forum is ongoing, you can text in on our studio text line 20933. And we would love to hear what you have to say and how is that particular information applicable to you as an individual and also your organization. But without much further ado, I'd like to pull in Martin to tell us so far how he's been. How have you been?
Yeah, been all right. That is the short version of it.
Yep.
Do you want to hear the long one?
I don't mind it.
Yeah, well, so, the thing is, this weekend I've been paying a little attention to myself, and I noticed a few pimples on my face, and let's just say it got me really concerned, and I was like, niko sawa kweli. Right now, when you notice any kind of symptoms on you, you're like, hey, I need to see a doctor, nini. And then I'm like, long and short, I'm okay.
Yeah,
I am fine.
Thank you.
It's just a swell on the skin.
Good to know that. And we're already seeing a lot of guys. I've been good. A short weekend. Had a good time with friends, family. Yeah, actually on Saturday morning when I was just, you like that morning sleep to enjoy it further. My little boy came and woke me up at 6 a.m. to play soccer. So I guess I never got enough sleep, but I'm good. I'm good.
So you played soccer in the morning?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I think it's good for you.
All right.
Okay.
So we can already see quite a lot of guys writing in. Joshua Macau says already tuned in to acquire wisdom from this forward-looking man of God. Thank you so much. Joski Shams says, good morning, Peter and Uncle Martin. And then Joski Shams was almost like, oh no, at one particular point. Joski, thank you so much. Now, as we informed you, Bishop was not able to make it today for the Leadership Forum because of various engagements, but we are doing a rerun of last week's episode on the strategies to innovation, and the focus will be on the Defender strategy. And we just wanted to recap a bit of that, but currently on Hope FM, it's running on air. The discussion is happening. The repeat is running right now. And also, if you go to our Facebook page at Hope FM Live on the timeline, if you scroll up, you will come across that content because we saved it there and you can watch the repeat and enjoy that great piece of content. And also on the Hope TV Kenya page on Facebook, you can also find that information there. Now, what we would like to do in this short time is also have you share what you listened and what you picked, the nuggets that were great for you and what you learned from them, and how is it applicable to you as an individual and also with your family. or also with your in your workplace? How is it applicable to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's important for us to have an introspection and see all these nuggets that I'm learning, how am I making them practical?
Yes.
And maybe we can start with us. Martin, maybe you can tell me, how is it working for you?
Well, after listening to Bishop last week, I think the biggest part of it for me was just trying to look through the various places that I find myself, whether work or church or family. I don't know that family is an organization, but yeah,
It is. It is.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
So we can employ some defender strategy. So I was just thinking, in terms of now, how do I, if I am to employ this strategy, how do I employ it? Up to what extent does it is it relevant to my various spheres of life? And one of the things that, as an employee right now, I was thinking about was I could employ it as an employee by offering my skill set as a unique kind of offering for the organization that I work for. But I was like, then that means, when you leave the organization with a gap. That I don't think that is necessarily a good leader or a good person to to employ. For the simple reason that once they leave, you leave a gap. And I don't want to leave a gap. So employing the defender strategy as an employee, unless what you have is like super unique to you, and I mean, it like you just need to hold on to it. But personally, I feel like defender strategies for the minis.
Thank you for that, Martin. Now, we can see the comments coming in, and we just want to acknowledge everyone who's tuned in right now and live. Sure. Just know that the discussion is happening on Hope FM Radio, 93.3 Nairobi, and you can find all the other frequencies, even as you just log into our Facebook page. On the homepage, you can find information about the different frequencies. Also, please understand that we are running a repeat of last week's episode, and so we would like to engage with you. How about here? We do an introspection. Tell us what you learned. Tell us, how are you applying it? What did you learn? How has it worked for you? We would love to hear from you. Ann Burton Singer says, Pamoja, Wanyonyi. Vitali says, I'm already in. Jos Kisham's tuned in. Thank you very much. Rajiv Opio shared a link there. I don't know what that's about. But Carol Kali says, yes, we give it all to you because you are God and our Savior. Amen. I think that was coming in from the last song.
Yeah.
Joshua Macau says, already tuned in to acquire wisdom. We also have Mincelet Chebet saying, tuned in from Kino, Nelson Misiko, Pipeline, and Bacasta listening to the show. Yeah, and more comments coming in. Samson Imenda tuned in. Dan Musyoki Mwengi says, looking forward to hear more wisdom from the man of God, Bishop David Ogende. Would like to know what the bishop thinks about the expose from NTV yesterday, the COVID-19 millionaires. Jambo, Pastor Wamboy. Oh, thank you so much, Dan Musyoki Mwengi. I'll make sure that particular question or your request to hear more about that is forwarded to Bishop, and we should be able to respond in regards to that.
Yeah, but he had already alluded to, well, not the expose per se, but last Monday he alluded to the kind of theft that happened with the COVID-19 funds.
Yes.
So yeah, he alluded to that. If you can listen to the repeat of that today on Hope FM, it would really be helpful.
Yeah. And I think also Bishop mentioned about greed and just lust of the flesh.
Yes.
Saa zingine shida ni dhambi kwa roho ya mtu. Greed and selfishness. Kuna shida. But of course, if you listen to the broadcast of last week, you will hear him touching a bit on that. And I think we can also look at that expose a bit, even as we continue. Now, as we've requested you to share in your thoughts concerning what you learned from last week, we want to have a look at what was discussed last week. And I had my notes somewhere, Martin, and I don't know if I've just deleted them by mistake, because I really made sure that I take notes when we were having that particular discussion. Now, one of the things, even just to start us off,
Yeah.
and we need to ponder upon this particular quote, is without innovation and creativity, we can find ourselves playing a game that people are no longer playing. Without innovation and creativity, we can find ourselves playing a game that people are no longer playing. And that was a quote that Bishop mentioned. And just to think about that, you could find yourself in a space where no one else is operating. For example, if you're still running a movie shop in this Nairobi, my goodness, you're playing a game that people are no longer playing. Yeah, as a matter of fact, even for us as a station, if you were to show up with a cassette, you've brought your song,
your music,
in a cassette,
or the LP thing, was it?
Yeah,
the LP,
I mean, no one is really playing the game. Even I dare even say that it's quite a tasking process if you're to bring your music in a CD.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it's a game that people are no longer playing. Right now, we have laptops coming out that don't have a CD drive.
I think most
laptops don't have it.
2019 to 2020 variants don't have CD drives.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you could be playing a game that people are no longer playing, and it's important for you to understand what is happening and what are the transitions that are happening, even from an innovation perspective, so you can adapt and not be disadvantaged.
Just talking about the laptop things and the CDs and the things.
Yeah.
I just want to pick your mind on how else would they submit their music for artists who are submitting music to Hope FM or any other station?
Yeah, how about drop an email with your song?
Oh, okay.
That's the fastest way. It's convenient. It's cheaper for you. You don't have to leave your location and make your way all, if you're in Nakuru and you want your song to be played on radio, you can just email it.
And we will email you the agreement, the contract.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a faster way to just have your music file submitted and not necessarily having to go physically, print a CD, bring the CD. Maybe you happen to sit on it in the vehicle as you're coming and it's broken. What I'm just saying is that without innovation and creativity, we can find ourselves playing a game that people are no longer playing.
That's true.
And that is why we are trying to leverage also on the online platforms to engage with you. Beza Makambo says, praise God, Lord, give me this mountain. You have it in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Samson Imende says, I miss that man of God. Pass my warm greetings to him. Aki. By the way, Samson, we will pass the greetings, but so that you also play a game that people are playing, why don't you just shoot him a tweet?
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
you can reach him there very fast.
Yes. But throw Bishop a tweet and say hi. It's all about innovation. So thank you so much, Samson, for that.
But mimi nitafikisha salamu.
Salamu atafikisha salamu. Sylvia Musa says good morning. Tune in. The Leadership Forum. Tuned in. God bless you too. Tuned, ready to learn more. That is Bernadette Muli. Joski Shams tuko pamoja. He told us innovation is what keeps you current.
That was what I was almost going to. But yeah, I
just touch about that.
Well, it's pretty much touches on what Larry Wilson, the quote by Larry Wilson that you just gave, alludes to, that without innovation, staying in the modern world will be difficult for many people and many organizations and many shops. Thinking outside the box. Innovation is sort of thinking outside the box. Is there a difference between creative thinking and innovative thinking?
Well, to a degree, yes.
To a degree, yes.
Well, you can try and be creative within a space that is not innovative. And my thought would be, for example, I can still be using a CD, but I can try to be innovative about it when I'm using a CD for music. So let me give you a case scenario. I can try and be innovative and say, I'm going to change the packaging. I'm going to change the design and everything. But still, whatever I have inside is a CD.
Is a CD. Oh, yeah. So that is you being creative around the CD era.
I want to think so.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I want to think so. But with innovation, it means you transition to what is current and what's happening. Yeah, and you find different ways of doing something, and which we remember when he spoke about an innovation must be efficient. It must help with doing work easier, making processes better, and improving the quality.
Yes.
But you can still try and be creative around a CD player. For example, you can get an external CD player if your machine doesn't have a CD port, so you're still trying to be creative around that, but still not moving with the times.
Oh yeah. So then if you still had the CD, I've seen people on YouTube using CDs still, but not for music. They're using it to make they called holograms or something. You know, that is sort of some level of innovation, because now it's a different product from an outdated product, so to speak, right? So okay, so innovation is what keeps us current. You could use products of the past to bring out different results in the present. That I feel that would be innovation. But then on the other hand, without thinking, creative thinking has its bubble, and innovative thinking has its space too. But when you combine the two, the kind of results you can get as a person, as a business, as an organization, creative thinkers most of the time bring out innovation in, can I say, a creative way? So that the package is more presentable than just thinking innovatively for the sake of thinking innovatively. Bishop actually said, changing things for the sake of change is not innovation.
So absolutely, and I like how we've been able to just look at that aspect of creativity within with the lack of innovation. And I think when we look at the different descriptions that Bishop gave about innovation, which you can still find on our timeline when you scroll to the leadership forum that happened 2 weeks ago, you will see the conversation there, and you're able to blend it with now the strategies towards innovation. First, trying to understand what innovation is about, and then now transitioning to understand the strategies towards innovation. And I believe it should be guided with your understanding of what innovation is. And he talked about the 5 F's, which you touched on. Flexibility. You have to be fast.
You have to be fast. You have to be focused. You have to be fun. And you have to be friendly.
And when you incorporate all those attributes into an innovation that is efficient, that is able to help tasks be done better, then it informs the strategy that you will adopt towards innovation. And you can find these conversations in our previous streams. Now, as we look at the discussions that have been shared, I know one of the things that people wanted to hear was concerning the COVID-19 millionaires. And I remember the discussion that was shared, the expose by on NTV actually is the reason why people are asking about that. And there was the fact mentioned that approximately 3/4 of the donations to Kenya by Chinese billionaire Jack Ma was sold to Tanzania, and the quarter that was left to circulate in the market was sold to other companies. And that was a statement made by Dr. Godwin Agutu, and it was part of that particular expose. And then I see people sharing 43 billion cannot be accounted at KEMSA, and that was by the same Dr. Godwin Agutu. And John Alanam, who's seasoned journalist, says, a good job, Dennis Okari, the owner of at least one of the companies named so far, has very close links to people in power. And it's the same narrative that comes in. Greed and selfishness, which Bishop touched on. People taking advantage of a very critical situation just for their own benefit. And it shows you the selfishness and how corruption has been a detriment. You remember one of the things that also Bishop alluded to was about corruption being a detriment towards the progress and innovation of a country.
Yes. And I wanted to mention the same thing. There is no distance that our country can go in terms of innovation and reinventing themselves as a people and progress, so to speak. There is no mile that they can go if we keep retrogressing. Every time we make a step, we make 2 steps backward in the mention of things, corruption, and it takes us to a place where we cannot dream as a people. There's a time I was looking for a house, and the landlord was just talking to us as a young couple, and he told us, which lady would want to spend her life with a man who doesn't dream? And then he said, dreaming, it is okay to dream, because we understand sometimes dreams don't come true, right? But as a people, we have been, let me use this word loosely, we have been raped by the epidemic of corruption so badly that we have gotten so used to it that it is hard to dream of a better country. It is hard to dream of better living standards. It is hard to dream of, the things that we see from the Western countries and Western cultures, which we readily copy, which we readily adopt very fast. But what comes from us is very little and very unsubstantial, so to speak. Yeah. So then we end up being no dreamers and non-innovative, because we're always afraid, if I put my money to this, somebody will steal it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Joski says, I also learned that effective innovation must add value, increase effectiveness, increase efficiency, excellence. I missed number 5. We'll share that with you.
Oh.
Yeah. And then Abigail Mumbi Esther says, I'm well and innovating a lot on my talent of making crochet flowers. Oh, wow. I wonder how nice. That looks.
Would she send us a photo?
Sure. You can attach it in the comment section and let us see that. Thank you so much, Abigail. As you're listening to Leadership Forum from Nyayo House, Janet Mavali tuned in. Abigail Mumbi Esther again, thank you so much. And Abigail says, I wanted to hear Bishop talk about corrupt leaders if really they are from God. And I think that is very critical, and we will try and get your response in regard to that. Now,
but what do you think about corrupt leaders? Are they also from God?
Well,
what do you think? Not what Bishop.
It's very dicey. That's a very dicey conversation, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because again, you would have to revisit the question: are these leaders who are in power from God, or are they selected by the people? Or what if somebody rigged an election and is in power? Was he selected by God? There's so many ways you can go with that conversation to even start the conversation.
Yeah.
If I rigged an election and I'm in power, was I selected by God? Am I God's choice? So it's very important that we have a clarification in regard to that. Yeah. But assuming you want to take the assumption that a certain person who is in power is from God, assuming. What then happens when they choose to not continue following the path or the footsteps of God and choose to go contrary to that? And we've seen it even in the Bible. Leaders, kings who were in positions of power, but they erred in their ways. They went into the wrong in that regard.
Yes.
So there's a possibility that somebody could be in that particular position. People who have been ordained by God. We see in the Bible, even David himself making mistakes along the way. And we see him getting a warning from the prophet Nathan, and we see David changing his ways. So we have seen those kind of scenarios. But at the same time, you've had even wicked kings who just did wrong.
And they were from God?
No, I'm not saying they were from God. I mean,
no, I'm just thinking. I mean, in terms of let's look at it in terms of the Philistines and the Babylonians who took Israel captive.
Yeah,
they were not necessarily a godly people.
Yeah,
matter of fact, we read about one of their gods being put next to the Ark of the Lord. Was it Dagon or something? Yeah, and falling and stuff. So we already know they were not a godly people. It seems like because of the wickedness of the Israelites, God gave them over to their oppressors so that they would see and taste what it feels like to be under an ungodly kind of nation. I don't want to comment on whether it is godly or not, but when you read it, it seems like it is God who allowed such suffering upon them. So then, again, like you said, it is a dicey kind of question. So it is best we leave it to the expert.
Absolutely. We can also give you our thoughts regarding that, but conclusively, I believe Bishop should be able to address that, and we'll take note of those questions that you are asking us because it is important that they are answered. I remember when we had the previous elections and when the government came into power, I remember at Bomas people even sang a song, a worship song, and. It was the people in the hall. I'm not saying every Kenyan, but the people in the
hall,
within Bomas. They sang and said, "Tosema Asante." I remember very well. They sang that song, "Tosema Asante,"
yes.
as if to say that this thing is sealed of the Lord. Fair enough. But with all the cases of corruption that have happened, with all the difficulties that Kenyans have faced, then to add insult to injury, when you hear about the COVID-19 millionaires, now you ask the same person who was singing that song, do you believe it was from God? He will change his view. He would say, absolutely no, I don't think so. So that's why it's a very dicey kind of conversation, because you can look at it from so many different angles. But at the end of the day, the question to be asked is the character. What is right to do? What constitution did they commit themselves to? And it's the constitution of this country forbids corruption, does not forbids exploitation of office and use of public funds and the likes. We know it is wrong. From principle, it is not a right thing to do. And especially doing the things that you're doing at the expense of people who are suffering, vulnerable members of your citizens of this republic, it is not a good thing.
It is not a good thing.
It is not a good thing. Now, our director in studios told us to reintroduce ourselves.
I'm Martin Ochola.
I'm Peter Chalo.
People call me Uncle Martin.
Uncle Martin. A treasure hunt every Saturday from 8 a.m.
Yeah, somebody was asking me on Saturday, Uncle Martin can also do big people things.
That's a good thing. So I remember, as we mentioned earlier, that the Leadership Forum is happening right now on radio, and it's a repeat of last week where Bishop spoke about the different approaches to innovation and focused on the defender strategy. And it's also online on our timeline, because from last week on Monday, we saved it there, and you can find that conversation as you enjoy that repeat and learn what has to be said concerning leadership. But for now, what we're doing is we are holding forth, trying to engage with you, trying to find out what you learned concerning all the things that Bishop has been sharing, and we would love to hear your view. Mwakazi Fred says, still tuned in as usual, God bless. And Patrick Oreo says, a very healthy forum indeed. Thank you, Patrick, for that wonderful comment. Catherine Wanjuguna says, you are tuned in. Now, Martin, if we were to just shift gears a bit.
I was almost hesitant from shifting gears. I just wanted to ask,
okay,
is there an innovative solution to the Kenyan corruption issue? Because as it is, it looks like it's difficult to solve.
Well, to start with, we can look and ask ourselves, have there been any innovations that have helped in trying to mitigate the issue of corruption a bit? I'll give you an example. When we started doing payments for parking in town through the mobile phone.
Yes, the city council thing.
Yeah, it meant that in a way it's mitigating the issue of you dealing with the city council officer on the ground saying, hey, I know it's supposed to be 300 shillings for parking, but maybe I'll give you 150 shillings. So you can say it's addressed that in that particular space.
Yes.
But the question is, that money that we have wired into the system, are there loopholes in the system where that money can be siphoned? So I still feel like to a degree, innovation plays a big part to help, but also the people who own the process have to be people of integrity.
Accountable,
They have to be accountable. Let's look at an area that we know was very difficult to address the issue of corruption, and that is in the transport sector.
Mm.
So there was a time we came up with these cards for payment,
Yeah.
where you could actually pay with your card.
Mm.
And so by paying with your card, it means you don't have to be transacting financially with
Cash.
the matatu conductor,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So it means you're not paying any cash.
Yes.
Which means if he's stopped over by a policeman,
Mm.
he doesn't have
he
any
doesn't
money
have any money to give the policeman.
to
True.
give the policeman,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because he has no cash.
Yeah. For sure.
Because we are all using our cards or our
Cards,
ticket.
Yeah.
I bought a card.
Mhm.
I loaded money into that card. As a matter of fact,
I almost can see how it's gonna go, huh?
but then all of a sudden we were told the cards are no longer functional.
So how do you unload your cash?
I
from
wasn't
the
able
card?
to reclaim my money.
I know.
But you see, what were the barriers to that innovation? The barriers were maybe those who who aim to profit from that,
Yeah.
saw this as a disruption that will be a hindrance
Yeah.
to them profiting.
Mm.
And right there was a barrier to entry for that kind of innovation.
Innovation.
So I feel like they work hand in hand. There has to be a champion who is willing
Mhm.
to embrace that innovation and allow it to come on board so that you could actually mitigate or avoid these issues of corruption.
Mhm.
Now, oh yes, Nancy Nyawera said, "Oh, that card, I still have mine. Iko na pesa yangu pia."
So our system is the one that actually fights our progress.
It's a bit difficult. Okay, so let me give you another example. So we have Lipa na M-Pesa,
Mhm.
which is very convenient because if you Lipa na M-Pesa, right now, even during this time that we are having COVID-19, it's a safer way to make payments. Okay,
Yes, it is.
good enough. So we pay through Lipa na M-Pesa,
Yes.
and the vendor can receive payment
Yes.
through Lipa na M-Pesa,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But because Lipa na M-Pesa has records, and you don't want to find yourself having to pay certain kinds of taxes, you tell somebody, "Hey, pay me directly to my phone number."
Send me the money
Yeah,
instead of paying to the till.
yeah. So I see that like there's certain loopholes.
Yeah.
There's certain loopholes. And if people want to, today in the morning we were having a discussion with one of our digital team members, Anthony,
Mhm.
and they were talking about how organizations are telling people to work from home, and as you're working from home, you need to be on Skype, and Skype is able to pick whether you are online or not because you're always in front of your laptop. So the camera is able to indicate whether the light is green.
Mm.
So if the light is green, you are working.
If it's not,
If it's not,
you're watching YouTube.
you're not working. No, probably you're doing something else.
Some other
If it's
things,
orange, yeah. But then as we were discussing it, we said, wow, a good thing organizations are able to make sure that people are accountable
Mm.
and they are working from
Working
home.
From home, yeah.
But then one of our IT guys, Ben
Ben.
said, but you know, the guys have found a way of making sure that the light is still green, even when you're not there. Bam. So character is very key
Oh yeah.
on the aspect
Yeah.
of innovation
Yeah.
because the lack thereof will mean that you will find ways to navigate the system
Mm.
to ensure
Mm.
that you will not be held accountable. Yeah, so I feel like that there's a gap there. Now, and I dare say, even in innovation, garbage in is garbage out. If the people handling the funds are not people of integrity,
Yeah, then there is no integrity.
yeah, well, thank you so much, Anne, for that.
Yeah.
Chris Wambo says, Reverend Dr. Aginde, hello, and thank you so much. God richly bless you for a great transformative ministry on leadership, our lives at the family, at the business, at the church, and corporate level changing.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Chris Wambo.
And Odero still says Kenyans will always find a way out.
They will always find.
I feel like Kenyans are super innovative when it comes to finding loopholes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, so let me give you another one. There's a lot of piracy when it comes to the movies we were watching because people were able to download them, put them on CDs, and then you go and buy movies from your local shop, right?
Yeah.
From the local shop, you're able to buy movies at 50 shillings, right?
50, yeah, 50.
It was at 50 bob.
Right now it's 30.
Right now it's 30 shillings.
Yeah.
So you're able to buy a movie at 30 shillings. So some people say that an innovation like Netflix was an answer because you have to pay a subscription, and whichever movie is placed on Netflix, of course, they receive a payment for their content because they have to get the license to have that movie as part of their content offering.
On their platform, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we say that's one of the ways that it's a solution, it's an innovation, which means that we no longer have to pirate movies because I can find a movie on Netflix
easily. Yeah.
So what followed after? We share our Netflix passwords. And even you who's listening, probably you have a shared account, a Netflix shared account
with DSTV. You remember DSTV Muito?
Yeah. So we share the passwords.
Yeah.
And so as we share the passwords, what happens? We are consuming the same content, but we are not paying for it because the model should have been for a household.
Yeah, but what if Netflix has allowed it so that we can co-pay? If I pay 200, you pay 200, the other person pays 200. We have a group of.
But when you're watching, so many of you, Netflix at times will suspend the account and mention the reason being there's so many people accessing that particular account.
Yeah.
So it shows you, again, that's an innovation, but a bit of challenges coming in there. So the other thing is the issue of patience, because if Netflix decide to do a series where they're releasing one episode, going back to the old model, because they came and said, hey, why watch a series when I can give you everything to watch it at one go? So you can actually binge, that's the word we use, and watch movies across the day.
Yes.
So there was Michael Jordan's The Last Dance documentary.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, Michael Jordan is considered to be one of the greatest basketball players of all time, and they did a limited series documentary about their journey as a dominant team. The Chicago Bulls of the 90s was considered to be the greatest basketball team ever fielded in history.
Sure.
But they were releasing one episode a week. So I belong to a certain basketball chat group, and I saw somebody saying, "Hey guys, here's a link from torrents to download the full episode." So by the time Netflix were releasing the second episode, you guys had already watched, not having all of it. Guys had already watched all of it.
Wow. It happens.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
So I feel like innovation is a good thing, but it can only help to a certain degree. But if the character and the integrity is not there in individuals, there will always be people who will try and find a way to cheat the system.
So innovation in and of itself is not sustainable. The character of the people also counts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you recall, even concerning, okay, let me give you an example. So the National Basketball Association decided that they were going to have a league in Africa called the National Basketball NBA Africa. NBA Africa. So it's an opportunity because a lot of young players can now get an opportunity to play basketball professionally and get a pay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's a great opportunity for the youngsters, right?
Yeah.
Hey, do we have a standard basketball court that is enough to just host a basketball game? We don't. Rwanda has.
Yeah.
We don't have a basketball auditorium that is up to standard. Now, is it because we can't afford it?
No.
But maybe our priorities are misplaced?
Our priorities are on soccer, maybe something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we can see that these are the challenges. And you just think about it.
Yeah.
Safaricom and other telcos have come up with a lot of systems to just try and ensure that we deal with the issue of fraud. So we talk about our mobile phones. They introduced the confirmation message that you can reject in the first 25 seconds, right?
Yes.
So that you can make sure you don't send money to the wrong person.
Yeah.
There's even, you can do a reversal. If you send money to the wrong person, you can do a reversal.
You can reverse, yeah.
Yeah, so during Christmas time, we went to buy a goat at a slaughterhouse. Then the people at the slaughterhouse tell us, now I want you to listen to this.
Okay.
They tell us, don't pay us cash. Don't pay us with M-Pesa.
Pay us cash.
Yeah, because they tell you go and withdraw and give us cash. I'm like, why? He says, because people pay us. They send, someone has come with his goat to sell it. You pay him, take the goat.
And then they reverse.
He's taken to the slaughterhouse, it's slaughtered. They pack it for you, put it in your car, and as you go, you reverse the transaction.
Wow, that's Kenya for you.
Some people can actually do that. So you see, without character, there are a lot of challenges on
Challenges,
innovation.
yeah.
Yeah,
So we innovation is quote unquote uh, amoral, for lack of a better word. It is not necessarily good and not necessarily bad. It now is dependent on the character of the user.
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely, because people can innovate very bad ways of stealing. And there's so many stories that you can actually borrow for that.
Yeah.
Um, now, moving forward, we have to look at our innovation and the strategies to innovation. Now, one of the things that Bishop mentioned was benchmarking as one of the ways to become innovative. If you don't travel around, you will think your mother is the best cook.
I loved that quote.
A very interesting quote.
It sounds like it was from my village.
Yeah, from a village.
It sounds.
Yeah. So if you don't travel around, you will always think that your mother is the best cook, and maybe she is. But until you travel around, you can never clarify that.
Yeah.
So what happens? What happens is if we don't have anything to benchmark on, we might think that the norm or the way things are is the best way to go about it. Now, what happens is we have nothing to benchmark upon, so we think that whatever we are being offered is the best. Yet it is not, because there is a better way to do things. So benchmarking is important. But we have also had problems in our government where we hear our MCS travel for benchmarking trips, but the expenditure, crazy things that we read in the dailies every day. So you're traveling to benchmark, but again, there's some other issues.
Corrupt.
Yeah, there's some allowances there, blown out of proportion and the likes. But now
they even have shopping allowances, which I don't know whether it's necessary, but anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, looking at innovation and the strategies towards innovation.
Just before you get there, there's something Bishop mentioned, an acronym, SIS, SIS, for innovation, for benchmarking rather. Says steal ideas. I almost say it shamelessly. Steal ideas shamelessly. And this the first word steal, Bishop said, does not get you to hell. So you can steal ideas shamelessly and implement in a way that works for you and your audience and your people and your customers, and then that in itself gears you to a different path of innovation, because now you'll begin to see opportunities around the ideas that you borrowed.
Yeah,
like, we can use the word borrow, right? That you borrowed and implemented for your organization.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, just looking at the strategies of innovation, Martin.
Yes.
What would you pick from whatever we learned last week?
Well, last week we talked about the defender strategy. I think it was no. I don't think it was the only strategy we covered last week.
The fast approach.
The fast approach, and what I picked from it was, number one, it is very heavily based on systems and structures. So it has a lot of, I can call them safeguards.
Yeah,
a lot of safeguards around it. And from its name, the defender strategy, it's a very defensive way of doing innovation.
Yeah,
because then that limits you limit everything to what you offer.
Yeah,
and the example that he gave was the example of Coke.
Yeah, and even before we get to the example, one of the things that were mentioned by Bishop was the defender strategy is focused on a narrow, stable market, guarding your space, product, services, way of doing things. So you guard a certain space that you're in, and you have a narrow, stable market. It's not for everybody. So it's almost close to a niche kind of market.
Can we call it a monopoly?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting strategy to employ in terms of innovation, because I am just trying to think about it in terms of the application world, the mobile apps, and what they were and what they are. Initially, when creating apps became a thing in the world, you would patent that idea and it would remain with you for a long time. But nowadays, you create one app, and the next thing you know is what you created has been recreated with better versions of it. So you're like, so now what happens? If you employed the defender strategy in the app world, then there's a big chance that you are out of business by now. Because it's not sustainable. I feel it's not sustainable because you have to have very strong safeguards and make sure your people are also people of integrity and will not share the same ideas that you've implemented in your product outside of the organization.
And talking about the defender strategy, one of the things that we touched on actually on the break, we said that I think it's only a sustainable model if your product offering is really good, if it is really good and really unique, so then you can be safeguarding that particular innovation. And we touched on Apple, because we know Apple products are not as compatible with other products, therefore it operates within a certain ecosystem. But because of that kind of an approach, it means that you need to have a very unique offering that would ensure that your tribe or the people who are committed to it will remain in that particular line. So if it's not compatible, then why have it? Why have it if it's not compatible? It's pointless because it's not of any benefit. But people will stay in a product like Apple because of they know the kind of
user friendliness.
User friendly is relative. Some people disagree with that
because they come from the PC world of things where
But if I was to say why I like it, for me one of the things that is so unique about it is the compatibility of devices.
In terms
of if I have an iPhone and I have
the ecosystem.
So if I have let me say if I have I do have an iPhone and also a MacBook Air. So both of these are Apple products, right? And an iPad too.
For sure.
And one of the advantages I have is if you call me on my mobile phone, if I forgot my mobile phone in another room, I can pick the phone call from my laptop. I don't have to leave my workstation because I can actually pick your phone call straight from my laptop. I can call you with FaceTime straight from my laptop.
All right.
So the compatibility. The other thing is the iMessages and the iCloud. So if I'm working on a document, if I'm working on a document on my phone, automatically the document is uploaded also on my iCloud drive, so I can access it on my laptop. Whatever I have on my phone is whatever I have on my laptop. And even if I was to lose any of the devices, I have all that information in my iCloud drive. And that's the beauty I like about
Apple
products. It's a defender strategy. It's a defender strategy, and then AirDrop.
Oh yeah.
How quickly I can share files to AirDrop.
That is the only reason I would envy a Mac user. But all the other reasons that you have given are things that, yes, if you ask me, the package is nice.
The other things you can try them on other devices, but it requires you to be a bit tech savvy.
Yes.
But for anyone who's on Apple, this is the norm.
That's why I was talking about user friendliness because it's easy to use. You get into it. You want to share files. You want to send a message to friends who are on the ecosystem, and it's easy. iMessage, you don't even have to. You don't use your whatever airtime or something like that. So stuff like that. So Apple is one of those companies that has implemented the defender strategy as one of their innovation strategies, really guarding hard their products. so that it's not for the masses. It is for their niche market.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he also mentioned about defender strategy being employed by companies like Coca-Cola,
Oh yeah.
and their formula has never been replicated.
Yeah.
But that has been the case. But in regards to the uniqueness of it, well, it's debatable.
It is.
Let's say it's debatable.
It is.
And not because it's not unique, but it's because of people's taste buds. Some people cannot distinguish
between
a Pepsi Cola
and
a
Coca-Cola. Yeah.
Taste buds. Nothing about the product, but people's taste buds.
But
yeah. But I think the defender strategy on my end works if you have a very good innovation. But if you have a wanting kind of innovation, then why would people stick with you? People would leave sheep as soon as they start facing challenges.
Or the next product that's better than yours is out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So when I look at that conversation we had about the defender strategy, I know you're the one who was taking more notes, and there was a part we spoke about if there's a balance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get to the balance, one of the things that the defender strategists don't do is they don't share ideas, and because of that, they keep their product with them for a long time. And now to making the balance, striking the balance for the defender strategist is if your product is that unique, the one thing that you have to keep out is keep an ear out, so that you borrow notes from other, not necessarily borrow notes, but keep your eyes to see what's happening in the market, so that you don't end up buried for so long in whatever is happening in your company and forget about what's happening outside in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So I think that helps to balance it out. And one of the things that they don't do is they are not as flexible as organizations with their product. So trying to balance out the defender strategy is try and be flexible with your line of products, and then you could end up maintaining your product for a longer time. Yeah.
Chris Wambua, thank you so much for saying, hey, Shkoki is unique, Bona. They've managed to defend Kabisa, Pepsi, and Soft are quite different, actually. I said it's an issue of test buds. I mean, it's just people's test buds, Chris. There are guys who, they can't tell a difference, they can't tell a difference. I've been accused this a lot by my wife. Whenever we go out to eat food, she's like, do you feel like the food is tasting a bit funny? It's a bit different. I'm like, no.
It's just food.
I'm just eating. I'm just eating. So that one is a relative kind of discussion. But nonetheless, for Chris, I can believe your test buds are working very well. God bless you.
Me and Chris. On this one, me and Chris are together.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Can you tell the difference between 7-Up and Sprite?
Yes.
You can?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Ginger ale and tonic water?
Yes.
Okay.
That one is it's almost obvious.
It's very obvious, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you ask between no, I think is it the same company? Schweppes and Schweppes ginger ale and the Crest ginger ale, if you remember it.
Yeah.
And those two were almost the same thing. They almost tasted the same, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I see that. Kabucho Marvin says, in regards to corruption, it all starts from the top office. In the Old Testament, the nation of Israel was either good or bad based on the king who was ruling at the time. So the problems of Kenya starts from the top office, and the Mwananchi behave the same. Take, for example, Rwanda. Rwanda is becoming better by the day, not because they have good resources than Kenya, but the leadership is on the right path. Example, I reside in Dubai. This country has nothing to offer apart from sand and soil. Yeah, he was still typing, but I agree. Now, The other day, there was a very interesting conversation about young leaders in the political sphere also being found to be wanting in terms of their characters compared to the old folk. And I remember when they questioned a certain political scientist, he mentioned that the very young leaders have been shaped and modeled from the same society where their predecessors have been operating from.
That's true.
So they come into power having learned the trick of the books and having been cushioned by the very people who are ahead of them. Why would you expect different? And that's why somebody, was it Dr. Miles Monroe, gave a very interesting quote and say democracy is a style of leadership where people take one from their own who is faced by the same problems and hoping he will give them a different kind of solution. Nonetheless,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Nonetheless, we have touched on the issue of corruption, and we'll look forward to it being addressed more. Now, talk about the issue of patenting when it comes to the defender strategy. I think this is a good part of the defender strategy.
I think so too.
And the reason is when you patent an innovation, what you're able to do is you're able to safeguard your intellectual property, and it will be of benefit to you moving forward.
Yes.
Why? Because there's been a lot of cases where innovations have been stolen. You hear someone innovated this particular product, but someone else took it and ran away with it. I like this part of the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. If you go back to the phones and the devices kind of discussion that we were having about Apple and whatever, one of the things that you will discover about a phone, as it were, inside of a phone, there are like 1,000 patents for a phone to become a phone. There is the screen has its own patent. Apple uses Samsung screens, if I'm not wrong. There is the speaker technology, which is a different patent. There is the what do you call it? The battery technology, the lithium ion, which is a different patent. And if I remember very well, Samsung was adopting something called graphene for their batteries, which is a different patent altogether. The processing. The processor type is a different pattern, different technology altogether. So those kind of patents give the owners of the patents, first of all, the revenue for the technology that they've innovated, and it's made them be able to generate further development to their technology, and that's a good part of patenting. The bad part of patenting is when you have come up with an innovation and then you sit and wait for the royalties to come and hope that no one else will copy what you did. Eventually, you find the market flooded with what you had already patented, and what they did was just tweak a bit of what you already had. And you see, the world that we live in today is becoming more and more collaborative than silo operations. So, and that's why you'll find companies like Apple and Samsung and what have you still buying processors from different suppliers. It's only until recently that Apple actually said they're going to be making their own processor types for their own, and Samsung jumped ship also and started making their own, the kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so patents are good.
Yeah,
they are good. They are good. Period. But they are bad only if you're doing them to sit on the innovation of the technology.
Absolutely, and I think somebody was asking what is to patent, and if I was just to give you a basic definition, it's a government authority or license conferring a right or a title for a set period, especially the sole right to exclude others from making, using, or selling an invention. What does that mean? It means that if you come up with an invention, you then are able to protect it so that I don't have to replicate the very thing that you've done, which is a problem in this country. I start selling quails and Martin will just decide to do the very same thing. So it helps you to protect a certain kind of invention. But I also feel like it has a part to play in terms of preserving the quality.
Yes.
Because any other Tom, Dick, and Harry can decide to just come and make up something that is similar. For example, we used to have beautiful boots called Timberland. Loved them. Then I started seeing some shoes called Simbaland. Remember Simbaland boots?
I remember Simbaland.
I mean, seriously, and it's not of the same caliber, not of the same quality.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to be able to protect certain kind of innovations, to protect the quality and the integrity of that particular product. Otherwise, anyone else can go replicate it, and then you realize that the quality is not the same, and then you are angry. You're disappointed. People now start having no confidence in the product. They say, hey, listen, never buy a Timberland shoe. It's not a good quality shoe. But actually, the experience was not with Timberland, it was with Simbaland. It also helps to distinguish a certain brand as compared to others. And that's why I think it's important. So it is a right or title for a set period, especially to the sole innovator, or that excludes others from making or using or selling an invention. It protects the quality and it protects the integrity of that particular innovation. And that's why we're talking about it. Now, Gatundu Joe says your story, a wife identifying all manner of tastes, whether funny or analyzing different foods, and I being clueless or not bothered is the same for me. Brother, I relate with you. Power to the brothers. Now, Chris Wambo says, you're right. It's usually a man's thing when it comes to taste and visuals. I can't tell the difference between pink, light purple, and lilac. It's all pink, but the ladies tell and buy. You said it right, Chris. You said it right.
No comment.
No comment about that. Now, Martin, moving on, as we are just about to wind up.
Yes.
What are some of the other nuggets that were shared that we can that you can remember? Because you usually take a lot of notes, and I commend you for that.
There is the discussion of fish in Kisumu that Bishop introduced. The story of how fish comes from Kisumu to Nairobi, and we consume it for Kisumu fish. But eventually, what the background is towards the story was, there's a company in China that came to Kenya and has its headquarters in Kisumu. I think it's called East Africa Seafoods in Kisumu. And they set up shop, and I think they got a license to operate as a reseller of fish in Kenya, in Kisumu. And so they import their fish from China, bring it to Kisumu, and then sell from Kisumu to the various fishmongers in Kisumu and beyond Kisumu. And Bishop was sort of saying, the one thing that he was using it to allude to how our government sort of leaves its people to fend for themselves. Yeah. And so he was comparing that to what the Chinese have done in the same line of thought. And he said in China, the crisis for unemployment was definitely there. And so to try to fill the gap, what the government of China, which is a communist kind of government, did was, instead of giving handouts to its people to keep them sustained, was it let the people use their brains, right? Let its people use their brains so that they could come up with products that were usable in the market. Then the government used that money that they would have given as handouts. They used it to find a market for the products of the Chinese people. And that brings us to where most markets are flooded with made in China products, and comparing to what we have in Kenya with the fish story, most of what we have is what we consume. There is very little that is Kenyan, right? And then that is one of them. Then there's the other Um, um, the other discussions that he alluded to about trying to do things efficiently, and he alluded to the judiciary having an online platform of how things are booked, cases are booked, and then there's the way the police today have an online police portal where if you want to book an OB, you just do it online and you never suffer your whatever is being lost. The one thing that I took away from the discussion that day was this: that money should never be a product that drives people into business or into innovation, so to speak. Money is a byproduct. It is not the product. So if you're getting into business, if you have an idea and you're getting into business with the idea because you have an idea and you want to make money out of it, well, you will make money. Most people get into business to make money. But then what keeps you in the business? If the product you have can sustain itself whether you make money or not, then it's a good product. That so that when other people come into to flood the kind of market that you're occupying, you find that whether you make money or not, you're able to sustain yourself. And when the surge of the population of those who occupy the same field with you reduces, you remain as the only man standing. And I'm using the word man loosely. Yeah.
I think it's sort of like it's captured well when we talk about having a purpose.
Yes.
And having a cause that is not just limited to you, but solving the problems of others and looking to provide solutions for people that are lasting and that are going to improve their lives. That's a very key thing. Now, I think we can end it there for today's discussion. Thank you so much for keeping us company. What we'll tell you is that you can find this conversation by Bishop that was shared last week on our Facebook page at Hope FM Live, also on YouTube at Hope FM Live, and also on Hope TV Kenya page at Hope TV Kenya on Facebook and also on YouTube. And you can enjoy the conversation, learn about the defense strategy, get to hear the nuggets that were shared by Bishop from Bishop's mouth himself, and just get to hear and learn and internalize those things. And we'll be looking forward to engage with you along the week, and also coming next week, moving the conversation further to the second strategy when we're talking about the approaches to innovation. Remember, our text line is 20933. You can always text in, leave a comment, let us engage and connect as we continue discussing leaders and followers. Martin, do you have much more to say?
Well, in closing, I think this is how Bishop closed. It is more difficult to be on the defense than to be on the offense. And so, therefore, if you find yourself on the defense, there is very little options. So if you're going to employ the defender strategy as a strategy for innovation in your organization, just know the options are few. If you're on the offense, you have more options. You can use spears, you can use guns, there's so much. But options for defense are few. So I think that I would end it at that, and hope that guys would join us next Monday with Bishop to continue the conversation.
Yeah. If you are driving on the road somewhere, maybe you don't have access to internet, just tune into 93.3 Nairobi, the frequencies in other locations, and listen to Hope FM, because the repeat is running right now on radio. Whereas online, it's you can find the content on our Facebook page, our YouTube page at Hope FM Live, and also our TV page on Facebook and on YouTube at Hope TV Kenya. Listen to the conversation, internalize, take notes, learn, and allow yourself to be inspired as you take that content and make it applicable in your personal life. And I believe you will be inspired to even become innovative and make a change in your personal life and also in the society at large. Thank you very much for keeping us company for the short time that we've been online. We thank you and look forward to engaging more with you. And we want to commend also Josphat Kiri, who's listening to us live from Bomet. Thank you very much. And Stephen Ocheng, thank you so much. God bless you. My name is Peter.
Martin.
And it is a pleasure always to have you on the Leadership Forum.
Adios.
Adios. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Did you know the Friends of Hope is an initiative of Hope Media? Through this initiative, we are able to partner with others who are keen to ensure that we keep hope alive. Through your support, we are sharing the hope we have with many others who are yet to embrace hope. You too can become a part of this initiative today. Send your contribution of any amount to M-Pesa paybill number 933933. Account name Friends of Hope. For more information regarding Friends of Hope, please email friendsofhope@hopefm.org or SMS FOH to 20933. Join Friends of Hope today. Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive. Another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries.